please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. 2 minutes for pre-open. Looks like we'll have a decent start. The problem for the market has been that intraday there's been a lot of selling, especially in the mid caps. Deven Choksey of KRChoksey is with us now. Deven, good morning. Are you sensing a bit of a panic here on the mid caps and small caps, and you think that's presenting a buying opportunity, or for now you think that's a space where you just want to stay away and focus only on A group?
Sanoj, good morning. Well, I think there is an element of pressure in the mid-cap side, and I largely believe that I think it's due to a combination of few factors. On one side, we have the nervousness in the market, so buying is absent. Taking the advantage of this nervousness are the traders who want to go short into the counters, justifiably so. But the fact is that they are being added by, I think, the lacunas in the system, where I think I find a little bit more disturbing kind of a situation. On one side, you have got the SLBM market where you can borrow the stock. On the other side, I think those borrowed stocks, I think you can sell it in the cash market, generate the cash, and I think you hammer the futures down because of the nerves in the market, and I think create arbitrage, reverse arbitrage, which is I think giving you the benefit of lower price future versus higher price cash. And on the top of it, I think what you are finding out here is that the derivative market, those mid-cap companies, they enter into a ban period. So typically it gives you advantage in the hand of the bear operator. And that's where I find that there is a lacuna in the system or the shortcomings in the system, which is basically creating a larger amount of nervousness. With this technical fall in the market, I think many of the funds, including the PMS, who would like to protect their portfolio, they jump in and they add fuel to the fire, they sell their stocks. So I think that's an area where I'm uncomfortable. Otherwise, I think from the fundamental perspective, if you ask me, I find that select mid-cap companies are doing exceedingly well. I think the management commentaries have been very, very positive, and the promises are for better earning growth in the current year. So certainly, as an investor, I think I would take this as an opportunity to buy into select stocks in the falling market, because the fall is unnatural and maybe short-lived. I think at some point of time it will recover faster also.
Well, Deven, I just wanted to interrupt you to tell you that I think this is a bit of a history in the making. I think this is a fresh low for the rupee. It's of course only an intraday low at this point in time. We will have to see how the rupee closes, but I think it's a fresh all-time low. We hit 68.80 in the 2013 carnage, and since then have not revisited that level. We came very close to it about 12 months back, or I think 19 months back, and now I think that level has clearly been breached. So perhaps now you should look at fresh lows for the rupee. 69 should be within striking. It may not, it should not be interpreted as anything disastrous, because this is par for the course. In 5 years you must expect your currency to depreciate because we have higher inflation than other countries, and this is in keeping with yuan, so you have to be competitive. This is not a disastrous move at all, but we are heading to fresh all-time lows.
So yes, that's right. Actually, the record closing low was 68.825, which we hit on the 28th of August 2013, and that's of course surpassed that. So
yeah,
I
but
guess
that's closing. So let us see how things pan out.
It pans out.
But I think Manish Vadhavan is with us. Okay, we should try and get a rupee opinion. Good morning, Manish. I mean, does this look like now a fresh low in terms of closing as well? Does the rupee get to 69 very quickly?
Lata, morning. Yeah, rupee has opened higher, and we saw, I think, first trade around 90 paisa, and it is the lowest since even the last closing what we saw in 2013. The factors which are pushing rupee lower is the FA outflows which have happened around $3 billion in the last 3 months, equity and debt combined, high oil prices, and overall, I think the dollar strength versus Asians and other currencies also. So it's a combination of a lot of factors which is pushing rupee down at this moment. 69 could be just a number what you're asking for, but at least at the moment the direction is negative for rupee, and there is a lot of pressure on the currency.
Manish, hi, good morning. It's not just the rupee, right? I mean, all emerging market currencies have been under pressure, not just because of the trade tensions. We've also seen a big fall in the yuan. Do you think that in general the basket could be headed lower over the next couple of weeks and months?
No, you're absolutely right. what's going around is it's not in isolation the rupee has fallen. The Asian currencies have been depreciating against dollar, and dollar strength against the major other currencies is also playing a role. So it's a combination of a lot of factors, and in this storm which is brewing at this moment, the FPI flows are not positive for us. Oil has gone up, and the dollar strength is playing all these roles. So yes, rupee may remain under pressure for some more time, and it's very difficult for me to point out a number where can it stop or how will it stop. So it depends on RBI intervention and the flows whenever they match out. Okay,
but would it not be that exporters will want to come and sell at some point? I mean, will 69 be that number, 69.5? If an exporter asked you, where would you ask him to sell?
Well, the levels are pretty good. So there's no doubt about it that from an exporter's point of view, it's a good level to sell. But any kind of moving market, you always see that the non-traditional players, I'm talking about the guys who are not in the banking system or flows, they tend to just wait and watch for some more time. So you might see some kind of a pressure still brewing for the moment before exporters come in.
Okay, all right. Manish, thanks a lot for joining us. That's the word on the rupee. You could see a sustained pressure. Manisha Gupta is also with us. She'll give us a quick comment on the commodities as well as on the currency. New lows coming in, Manisha, this morning for the currency.
Oh, well, yes, as we've been talking, you know, that this is on expected lines, and the rupee is one of the worst performing currencies. Actually, when you look at Asia, down by nearly 7.5 to 8%. We're just getting to that exact number, but 7 to 8% down now for 2018. This has been one weakening that we have seen in the currency, and much of these declines really have come in for the last 10 or 15 days. But, you know, as we've been talking, the crude oil prices as well have been surging on the higher side. November 2014 highs is what we are looking at in sense of the US crude oil prices. Crude oil prices also have gained up by 8% in last 4 or 5 trading sessions itself. So it has been quite a surge since the OPEC meeting. We have seen a one-way in case of crude oil prices, and that has been on the higher side. Add to that what US is trying to do with the Iran sanctions. Add to that you also have seen the US inventories decline by 9.9 million barrels, which is the biggest weekly draw that we have seen in this year. So everywhere that you see, you are looking at very strong fundamentals continuing for the crude oil prices. The supply concerns from Venezuela, Libya, Nigeria have just gotten more steeper. The strong demand estimates for the rest of 2018 are there, and the markets are anticipating a very strong summer driving demand season as well coming in from the US, and that would continue to support the prices. So even as we have seen 3.5% gains in crude prices overnight, the markets are anticipating a couple of dollar gains in the next fortnight itself. So that's the kind of bullish cues and the bullish long positions that you are seeing building in case of crude oil prices.
Okay, thank you very much for that. But Manisha, my sense is that the yuan has done worse than we have done. It's moved from 6.4 to 6.7 since June 13th, which means since 2 weeks. We've not done that badly. We've moved from 67.8 to 68.8. So I think...
for the near term.
Yes. So in the last 2 weeks, clearly the yuan is leading the fall. And rupee simply to avoid, say, for instance, Chinese tire imports. You know, you just want to keep your currency weak so that cheap Chinese goods, Chinese competition is not in. So the Reserve Bank may not be in a hurry to come and stop this fall, is my sense. But anyway, let's get Deven on this issue. Deven, does this make IT companies a good buy or pharma companies? Anyway, we saw pharma turning.
Well, Lata, if you are looking merely from a very short-term point of view, I think you may get a sentimental boost because of the currency fall. But generally seen and understood that it's maximum, I think, 1 quarter effect, after which I think the currency fall is played out. And that's where I think you are not taking the full advantage over across the full year. On a standalone merits, yes, certainly I think some of the pharma companies looks more interesting at this point of time, given the fact that they have the launches ahead in the second half of this financial year. And also, I think in calendar year 19, where some of the generic pharma companies are entering into the specialty product segment, where they promises to produce better margin going forward. So we look forward to that kind of a possibility within the pharma basket in at least select companies.
Okay, Dr. Reddy's has got EIR for 2 units actually. That's the news.
And Medec is a big unit for them.
It is. Dr. Reddy's has been doing well. The bigger issue for Dr. Reddy's, of course, would be that hearing which is happening today, because that was the at-risk drug, and that is where the stock had rallied big. and has corrected a bit, so will be interesting. By the way, pre-open rates have settled now, and it looks like it will be flat start with a bit of a negative bias. So the Nifty down about 10 points, the Bank Nifty down about 25 points is what we have. Deven, your thoughts on Dr. Reddy's?
Well, and given the current issues, I think we'll have to wait and see as to what is the impact onto the revenue side of the book. But otherwise, purely from the point of view of the management commentary, which they said earlier, that they have a series of new product launches happening in the second half of this year and thereafter. So certainly, I think from that perspective, the reason to remain a little bit more positive. But the EIR issues, I think, which has come up just recently, I think that needs to be evaluated further.
Okay, for now in pre-opening, the technology stocks are all topping the charts. HCL Tech, Infosys, TCS are all up about 0.5%. And you do have a couple of these names from the Tata Group space. Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Tech Mahindra are all trading in the green. Deven, from the list of non-index large caps, would you buy any of these names now? Names like Madison Somi, Ashok Leyland, etc.?
Sonia, Ashok Leyland looks, I think, relatively more appealing to us, very interesting to us. They have got sizable amount of orders coming in from the bus segment, and that they will be fulfilling as well, because I think these orders are time-driven orders. And I think the bus portfolio in the commercial vehicle segment of Ashok Leyland, I think, is registering a handsome growth into the business of the company. So that is one area which we remain distinctly positive. Second area positive is because of the commercial vehicle itself is showing a robust signs of growth. The discounts have gone away, and at the same time higher amount of demand has already started. FY20 guideline for scrapping of the older vehicles, etc., or the new generation of vehicles required in the BS6. I think this is already forcing the additional demand into the system, and that's where both Ashok Leyland and Tata Motors would be favorably placed. Along with that, I think the service model that they are bringing in, I think it promises to be a good company going forward. Maybe I think in couple of quarters you might probably see the price adjusted to the growth guidance that the company has given, and that's where I think you would probably buy into this company at a lower price, which is becoming attractive from long-term investment point of view.
Okay, Ashwini, your thoughts on pre-opening and your 9-10 call?
Well, pre-open, as I said, I like to wait for the market to rally to get short. I don't think doing the long trade has great value, but chances are within half an hour you'll see a resumption of the sell-off on mid-caps. So don't get overexcited by the rally. As far as 9-10 call is concerned, BOI is a sell with a stop of 90, target of 84.
Well, I just thought that you are going to say that. Many of the PSU banks are lower, but Bank of India is the lowest. In the sense, the fall is 1.2 or 1.13, thereabouts. Deven, anything in the finance space that you will buy now? I mean, there has been some seminal falls in the banking stocks.
Well, I think the companies which we like in the NBFC space and also in the corporate banking side, private sector side, I think they remain expensive. So if you are asking me, I think would you buy Bajaj Finance? I would like to buy the company, but not at the current price. I think the valuations are fully justifying the growth that the company is producing. Similarly, I think if I buy Kotak Bank or for that matter IndusInd Bank, the answer is yes, but I think whether it's current valuations, answer is no. The current valuations, I think, are fully pricing the growth that the company is producing currently. So honestly, do you like the company within the finance basket? But I think the valuations are scaled up. If one area which is remaining little bit more appealing and I think more promising is the insurance area.
Okay.
And the insurance area in which I think probably would like to consider HDFC Life as a choice to buy into the portfolio.
Okay, HDFC Life. From the large caps, would you look for anything to buy right now? I mean, names like, Tata Motors, of course, is down 40% this year. But even oil marketing companies, HPCL, etc., all down about 40% this year. Anything that you would choose from there?
Not too sure about, I think, the OMC basket, Sonia, and I think the reasons are obvious. Going ahead in this year, we will be having the election. Again, the disruption in the price mechanism will happen in that period, plus no certainty about whether the GST, non-GST, and what would be the impact coming onto this company. So honestly, on the other side, I think the crude oil prices are going up. So certainly there is a squeeze as far as I think the working capital related requirements are concerned for these companies. So OMC is probably, I think, still not very convinced to buy into the portfolio. quite vulnerable to the crude oil prices they are. Tata Motors, for one, I think looks relatively more interesting. Yes, I think GLR is some amount of concern. Given the kind of possibility of the duty, I think that could possibly affect the sales to America. However, if they get out of EU, and probably I think if the Brexit takes place, in that situation, I think the situation could be a little bit different. But till that point of time, the stock would have an overhang. Maybe I think some capitulation, if at all it happens in the market, I think that would be the right time to enter into Tata Motors.
Okay, you know, we have only about 40 seconds, but will you buy any of the cement stocks?
Well, I think the price-wise, they are quite appealing, and the demand scenario is promising. So certainly, I think Ultratech remains in a favorable list of the basket, though it is not cheap. But I think it's a relatively better company, given the kind of geographical spread that it has and the capacity that it has got to take the advantage of the higher demand scenario.
Okay, thank you very much for that photo finish, Deven, and thank you very much for joining us this morning and giving us your perspective. We are just only about 10 seconds from the market opening, and it at the index level looks quiet at this point in time, but we don't know if that will be that will be maintained. Well, IT stocks doing well, oil stocks doing badly.